Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today is the best day of the entire year. And that is because it is Puppy Swim Day. So I took Autumn, my Weimaraner, over to the community pool. And I was a bit nervous about how my head and everything was going to react to all of the dogs running around. And what seems to happen is when I get really excited, it's bad for my head, but it also, I tend to not pay attention. So I expose myself even longer to whatever it is I shouldn't be. And so I really crash afterwards. What I did do, thankfully, because she had a party foul in the middle of the pool deck, we got to leave after an hour. I think she drank too much water. But yeah, she had a party foul. All the dog owners were like, "Oh, party foul," and she was crapping in the middle of the concrete. But anyway, poor baby. She's okay. So she is not the best puppy. What is it called? Doggy paddle. She is just strange the way that she paddles. I am gonna put some videos and pictures of it on my Facebook and Instagram, but it's like she's walking on the bottom of the pool while she's flailing her arms around, and there's just she's splashing water everywhere. She can't see anything because she's swimming on the very top of the pool. Like each stroke, her leg comes out of the water to the surface and splashes down. So it's hilarious. And she was the spotlight of the day, of the afternoon. Everybody was just cracking up. But she did better than she had the past several years. So she did choose to get in herself. The first year we did that. So I've been doing this for 4 years, I think. And it seems like 3 years, but I guess 4 years I've done it. And the first year she's like likes to lean over the edge of the pool to try to like use one paw and pull the water in towards the edge of the pool so that the ball will come towards her. So she still does that after 4 years. She still does that. But the first year I just kind of oops and nudged her in. And the second year I did the same thing once, and then another dog nudged her in. And then now she's starting to really just go in. She still will not jump from the side of the pool. She kind of a couple times tried to like walk into the pool, hoping that the bottom was right there. It was not. But it was super cute. I just love it. It's my favorite day of the year to watch my dog swim with all the other puppies, and it's just awesome. So, yay. I did finally come through with the book of the month. I know it's been 7 days. I promise you will still have time to read your book. And the book of the month is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. And if you listen to the audiobook, it is narrated by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and the publisher is Harper Audio. Not that you care about the publisher, but I've been listening to audiobooks so much now. I always remember hearing Harper Audio presents. So anyway, I just wanted to say Harper Audio out loud. Okay, so The Bell Jar chronicles the crack up of Esther Greenwood. Brilliant, beautiful, enormously talented, and successful, but slowly going under, maybe for the last time. Sylvia Plath masterfully draws the reader into Esther's breakdown with such intensity that Esther's insanity becomes completely real and even rational, as probable and accessible an experience as going to the movies. Such deep penetration into the dark and harrowing corners of the psyche is an extraordinary accomplishment and has made The Bell Jar a haunting American classic. So I am really looking forward to this one. I have not read anything by Sylvia Plath, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I think this very much, we'll see, should go in line with our recovery theme here. And then our listener challenge, I'm kind of excited about it. Our listener challenge this month is every day, once a day, I want you to dance to one song. Brilliant, right? I know, it's brilliant. Dance to one song a day. Excuse me. So you don't have to know how to dance. It's fine. I do not know how to dance, but sometimes I like to do it anyway when nobody's watching. So that's what I want you to do. And I want you to think about, how do you feel before you dance? How do you feel during the dance? And how do you feel afterwards? So I remember when I was a kid, I used to try to dance like I was some sort of um, ballerina. I didn't know anything about ballet. I did take ballet for some very, very short period of time when I was a kid. Um, and I don't remember being I just remember showing up to ballet class. That's it. I don't remember anything else. I don't remember actually doing ballet, but I used to always pretend like when I got home from school and nobody was there, I would dance around my living room and like jump off of the couch and be flailing my arms around. Well, I mentioned maybe a week ago that my daughter created a podcast for me, several episodes for Christmas last year. And one of the episodes was about things that you might not know about me, about her, about my daughter. And she said she did the exact same thing. She was like, something that you don't know is I would come home from school and pretend like I was a dancer and I would create these routines. And so, anyway, we're not unique. None of us. And my daughter takes after me. So dance to one song a day. I think it's going to be fun. But make sure that you think about, like, what is it doing for you? Is it changing your mood? Like, I feel like that is the intention here, to see what it's doing for you. And is it something that you can add to your toolbox for when you're not feeling excited, when you're not happy, when you don't feel joyful? Maybe one thing that we can do is turn on a song and dance. Just you move your body even though you don't want to. Like, turn off your wanter and just start dancing and see what happens. I have a feeling that it's going to perk us up a little bit. So let's give it a try. I'm excited to do it. And that brings us to the topic of the day. So, the topic of the day is cleaning your side of the street and knowing that you're worth it. The topic this morning, the daily reflection was cleaning your side of the street. And I was just incredibly inspired today by a woman who shared about her courage. She's new in sobriety, and she courageously stood up for herself to her husband. And it just inspired me when she was talking because I was just like, you know, I love hearing newcomers come in, and there are several weeks of typically of crying, of real just like fear and sadness and regret, and like it's really really difficult in the beginning when we get in here, because you're removing that substance that was helping us to ignore our feelings and to not have to deal with anything. So to actually have to face these things, it's scary. And so I've been watching this person do that. And then today I heard this shift. I heard this belief that she is worth it. She is worth standing up for. And so that's why I wanted to talk about that. That we're worth caring for ourselves. We're worth reclaiming our own well being while building this inner faith that we deserve better, that we are not going to put up with somebody who treats us as less than who we are, who we want to be, and who we're going to be. So I think it's an important conversation. And I'm going to cautiously talk about some experience that I had where I was spoken to in a way that I was being treated less than what I deserved. And specifically, I had an individual scream at me when I was sitting on the floor, Indian style, sitting on the floor, and this person was screaming at me, standing above me, um, like pointing his finger at me, telling me that I need to treat him like a man and that I needed to give him that respect. Um, what I had not done, that I was receiving that kind of treatment was not trusting that, let's see, how can I say this? Not trusting him. We're going to say that. Not trusting that he fulfilled his part of some chores. So going back and checking that it was done. And only because I was fearful that it wasn't done. That was it. And instead, that response was, you need to treat me like a man, and screamed at me, while I was crying. And I don't deserve that. I didn't deserve that. And I was much, much younger. And I didn't understand that I shouldn't be talked to that way. I I hadn't ever been in a situation where I was treated that way, you know? Um, so I didn't really know what to do. Um, and my reaction was, I deserve it. I deserve to be treated that way. I deserve to be spoken to that way. I'm not worth more than what this person is telling me I am. And it's really sad when I think back to that young woman that I was, and that I was being spoken to in such a way, and I felt trapped. I felt like there was nothing I could do. And and I feel really sorry for that person. But today, as a 50-year-old woman, I can find that person, that young woman that still exists inside of me and spend the rest of my life showing her and telling her that that was wrong, and I am worth it. I was worth it, and I will always be worth it. And it takes courage to do that. It really does. Um, and it just destroys me when I hear about other women. I'm just going to say women because that's usually the story that I hear. Now, I have heard of men dealing with women treating them that way. I've seen women treating men that way. Um, but it just destroys me when I hear somebody saying, this is what this is how I was treated, and I believe them, that I don't deserve more, that I deserve to be treated that way. Um, how do you tell somebody, how do you show somebody that they are worth it and they should not be treated that way? So anyway, I just want to talk about it. That's my experience. I think that it's important that I talk to you about where I've been so that you understand that I'm not just pulling stuff out of the air. I don't really like to talk about stuff like that because I don't want to throw anybody in my life under the bus that I've met throughout my life. Of course, I'm not saying anybody's name, but I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable, you know? So I really just want to focus on the fact that I have experienced being treated poorly and, and how difficult it is. And it took years for me to stand up for myself. Years. Um, so in recovery, we hear this phrase, cleaning my side of the street. So what does that mean? It is how we take action to handle our own boundaries, our responses to other people, taking ownership of our lives, taking responsibility for our well being. And if we want peace and serenity, it's understanding that we need to do the internal work of healing, forgiving, and growing. And it's cleaning my side of the street is purposely acknowledging that I can't control other people. All I can do if I have in a relationship, all I can do is take care of my role and make amends for anything that I may have done wrong, any harm that I may have caused. And what's difficult is not having expectations for how that other person is going to react. Will they take ownership of their side of the street? I don't know, but I still have to do my part. That's where my serenity, that's the clutter that I was talking about for the past couple of days. That's the clutter that's sitting on top of my serenity, keeping it from surfacing that joy and serenity. So cleaning my side of the street is sweeping all of that out of the way so that my joy and serenity can surface, and I don't need anybody else to help me sweep my side of the street, you know? So I've learned that in this act of self-maintenance, um, it's necessary for me to sometimes face things that I'm afraid to face, you know? Um, but it's a lot of times it's not as scary as once you start interacting with somebody, like ripping the Band-Aid off, it's not as scary as it might seem at first before you actually open the gate. And I can't take care of my kids, my husband, my friends, my family. I can't take care of anybody else unless I take care of myself first. It's like putting my oxygen mask on first. Same thing. Like, how do I genuinely help others if I don't have anything to give? It takes a lot of courage to admit that we're worth it, to remind ourselves on a daily basis that we're worth it, nurture our mental well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, and it's not selfish. And that's really difficult. I spent the majority of my time drinking, making sure that I wasn't selfish, that I put everybody else first. That was my perspective. That was my view on things, was that I'm gonna drink and mind my own business while I take care of everybody else. And therefore I am not selfish. But what was really happening was that I put my drinking first, selfishly, didn't take care of myself, and then did what I could to take care of everybody else. And really, where did that get me? I was 100% depleted. Um, I wasn't able to take care of myself. One thing that holds us back is this belief that when somebody tells me something negative about myself, that I believe them. If you're told something over and over and over again, eventually I feel like you start believing it, you know? If somebody, it's amazing really how we can be in this alternate universe with another person, say in a relationship, and outside in the world, everything seems normal. But when you are with your significant other and you're in this relationship and they tell you over and over and over again what you telling you that you don't know how to do XYZ, um, you're all you ever do is talk negatively. You need to treat me like a man. You don't know what it's like XYZ, all of this stuff. It's really it's mental abuse, verbal abuse. You don't have to have somebody hit you in order to be abused. Um, Somebody can say those things to you so much that you believe it, and it paints your world. And that I've had that happen so many times where somebody tells me something so much that I just believe it, and it's just not true. And it's so difficult to get out of that. You can have one person telling you negative things over and over again for years, and then you can have other people outside of that relationship telling you that that person's wrong and shouldn't talk to you that way. And yet you don't know what to do. You don't know how to walk away. You don't know how to make things change. And I think that what I heard this morning, which was really inspirational to me, was you clean your side of the street. You just take care of your part and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not allowing this to happen to me anymore. And that can be scary. It can be scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if there's some sort of, is that going to be the straw that broke the camel's back that turns from verbal, mental abuse to physical abuse? You don't know. I mean, that stuff can be very scary. And I don't want to go too much down that road because I am far from somebody who needs to be giving any kind of advice on that. And I have not experienced physical abuse ever. So, forgive me, but I'm not going to go in that direction. But I do want to talk about this, this faith that we are capable of building that tells us that we deserve better. Um, because we are worth it. I deserve just as much respect, love, care, joy, serenity as anyone else in the world. And that's hard when you're being spoken to negatively to believe it, that I'm worth it. But you are worth it. You deserve respect, love, and care as much as anybody else. You deserve serenity, and it is available. It is already inside of you. You just have to sweep your side of the street. Um, when we live through experiences where our self-worth was battered, it's so hard to see clearly through that, beyond that. So this woman this morning said, I don't deserve to be treated this way. And she wasn't waiting for someone else to change. She was the one that was going to make the change. And it was such a powerful moment to even to hear her say that. I don't know what's happening in her home or in this relationship that she's in, but what I heard is that seed of faith that she's worth it. That seed that she is setting boundaries and she's taking control of her life by standing up for herself. And that just takes planting the seed. And I hear it so often in my sobriety meetings. Once we take that one step, once we even have that fall out of our mouths, it's a sign that we're going to start moving in the right direction, even though it's hard. It's not easy. It's not simple either. This kind of stuff is the real deal. This is about building my life, the value in my life back up again. I really felt when I was drinking, um, that I was absolutely worthless. I didn't deserve happiness. I didn't even think I deserved to not be hungry. That's why I didn't eat, because it was like I was punishing myself by not eating. And by standing up for myself and saying, really, what got me out of that was more that I didn't want to die. And I could see that I was dying. I could look in the mirror and see that I was dying. And that was the beginning of me standing up for myself, my life. Um, and then once I was able to just remove the alcohol, I was able to think a little more reasonably. I was able to, some of those dark clouds moved away, and I was able to see that, okay, my life does not have to revolve around alcohol. And then the more that I heard people talk about their story and it resonated with me, I heard people telling their story and it sounded like my story. And I could see them taking the steps forward. I thought, okay, I'm just going to mimic them, you know? Um, and then it just starts to really unfold across our whole lives. And for me, when I started believing that I was worth it, when I started believing in myself, when I started believing that I was worth it, other people started believing that I was worth it. I don't know if that makes sense. I could see other people believing in me. Because you know how, like, if you quit smoking, you're going to quit smoking, okay? You've been smoking for 20 years, you're going to quit smoking. And you tell somebody, I'm going to quit smoking. And they say, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, that is the freaking worst thing that you can ever hear somebody say to you when you want to make a change for yourself. So, in this same situation where we have somebody who may be speaking very negatively to us, and we say back to them, I've had enough, I'm not going to do this anymore. And the person responds with, what are you going to do? Or better yet, the person laughs at you. Um, that was my experience. What do you do? You know, because that other person is going to do everything they can to try to keep beating you down and tell you that you don't know what you're talking about, that you're not smart, and you just keep walking. You do it anyway. Um, your faith in yourself and the faith that you're worth it has to be stronger than that self-talk that other person created in you. And man, it's hard. It's hard. And I I realize that I'm not necessarily providing any kind of advice. That's not what this is about. I think what this is always about here on this podcast is sharing my experience, strength, and hope. So I'm talking to you about my experience. The strength is that I can tell you that I did it. I realized that I was worth it. And the hope is that I'm still here and I don't have anybody treating me that way anymore. And so I know if I was able to do it, that you can do it too. So standing up for yourself, especially in the face of these toxic situations, is terrifying. And it feels like you're going against everything you've been taught about avoiding conflict, about not making waves. But the truth is that nobody has the right to speak to you that way. And you have the power to change no matter what. There is no jail cell around you. There's nothing keeping you in. If there is a jail cell around you or something's keeping you in, there might be an instance where you need to seek what is police officers, or I don't know what I should be saying there, but like actually reaching out and getting help for your situation. It's incredibly scary to lift your chin higher than the person who is speaking down to you. But you can say no more. Even if when you say no more, it's a tiny little whisper. It doesn't have to be a shout. You can do it quietly. It's also a moment where you reclaim your power, even quietly, where you remind yourself that you deserve better, that you take a stand. Um, it's not just for turning things around, but it's for the beginning of a journey of healing and survival. People can't survive, flourish, or live fully being treated that way. And healing, just like recovery, takes one step at a time. It begins with that small moment of courage, that small little whisper that is no more. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be treated this way anymore. Self-care in recovery is not just about not picking up a drink. It's not just about in stroke recovery doing our therapy. You know, we have to truly believe that we deserve better, even when it feels uncomfortable to say that, when it feels completely foreign. If you have felt your whole entire life, you never felt like you deserved better or that you were worth it. And that faith in ourselves doesn't come overnight, but it can come little by little. Again, whisper, I deserve more. Because it just starts that tiny little seed to be planted, and then it will build up as we make choices in that direction, the next right thing, that honor our worth. It's like building a muscle. And the more we practice self-care and set boundaries for ourselves, the stronger the muscle gets. And soon we are not just surviving, but we're thriving. And I'm here as an example to others who have ever felt stuck in a similar pattern, showing that it is possible to stand up for yourself. Um, it is possible to change what's happening. You may not be able to change the people around you, but you can change your response to the people around you. Say, I deserve better, but believe it. Clean your side of the street. Take responsibility of your own peace, you know? Take responsibility of your well being. You are worth it. Everybody's worth it. Everybody deserves it. And it's up to us to save ourselves. And I wish that I was able to hear somebody talk about this when I was in my situation, but I didn't have access to it. And it was probably because, I mean, we had the internet. I was trying to think of when that was. We had the internet. But I mean, back then information wasn't as easily accessible as it is now. And that's why I do the podcast, because if this can fall into the hands of somebody who needs it, somebody who's in a situation like that, then I've done my job by sharing my experience. So thanks for listening today to the Recovery Daily podcast. I will talk to you